Hello, beautiful girls. Hello, star girls. Hello, the intentional girls. Welcome to today's section. It is still the Intentional Girl Emergence Bootcamp, and I am super excited that we are having today's session. And how have you been? If you are live, please let me know. Okay, I just need to do a little adjustment over here. If you are live with me, if you're here, please say hello so that I'm sure that someone is here. I can see that two people. Hey, someone is here already. So we have Oge, and who else? Hello. Please, once you join, please, I need you to type in the comments your name so that it also help us for the speaker to know those that are joining them, so they could call you by their names, okay? So please just do that. Once you join, write your name and your sister's name in case there are two of you in your family. This is important to us. Please, let's do that so that we can proceed. Hi. Welcome to today's session. Who is excited? Yeah, Ogechi. I know Ogechi. Ogechi, I trust you also have your sister join you. So let me know. Okay, who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? We need everyone to be here. We need everyone to be here. All right. I first and foremost, I apologize. We're trying to get the material that the speaker is using in place, and we are almost done with that. And that's why, oh, she's using a different laptop. Okay, that's beautiful. I also needed to introduce herself once she joined. Okay, so welcome to the Intentional Girl Emergence Bootcamp. And today, we will be having a sorry, okay, people are joining. We have some people who are trying to reach out. Okay, just give me Hello, everybody. Hello, girls. So, this is ours starting day 2 of the Intentional Girl Emergence Bootcamp. And today we are going to have 2 sessions. They're going to be amazing sessions. So, we would be closing earlier because the person that's going to handle health will be joining us tomorrow. And tomorrow is the grand finale where we are going to have the book launch of The Intentional Girl. I will be showing you what the Intentional Girl book looks like. And we're going to read it together. We'll discuss it together. And then we'll talk about digital opportunities and we'll talk about our health. I tell you that today is loaded. So without taking much of our time, I need you to get your paper and pen ready and get ready to ask your questions, get ready to engage. Anything you're learning, you can drop in the comments. Make sure that you encourage your speakers. She's here, the person that will be speaking to us today, and I'm going to add her right now and I will introduce her. So she is not a person but Barrister Bumi Omeke, and she's joining us all the way from Canada. So let's bring her up. Hello, welcome Barrister Bumi.
Hello, how are you doing today? How is everyone doing? I'm not seeing your faces. I don't know how this platform works. I'm kind of not seeing the faces. I'm just talking to you, but I believe there are some people at the background. How do I get to interact with them? How do I get to know they are listening to me?
Don't worry.
Okay.
They are listening to you, okay? So I won't be putting up their comments.
Okay.
As they drop their comments, when you ask questions, when they respond, I'll put it up. You also be seeing the comments at some point because we're on YouTube. So yes, so you'll be able to see that. I don't know if there's a way for you to join at YouTube, but the only thing there is that you need to mute it on YouTube so that the noise won't be entering the main studio.
Okay? I get that. So yeah,
and we will be reading out your profile now so that you can take the floor. So just
are you able to one more thing, are you able to share the screen?
Yes, I'll be able to do that. Once you want me to, yes, once you want me to
okay. All right. Sure. Okay.
All right, so let's get your profile up and have a good time. So girls, like I told you earlier, you have to ask all your questions. You need to engage. You need to make sure that you take everything you can take from Barrister Bumi. Don't allow to go back the same, okay? Don't allow to go back the same. Make sure that you get all the answers to your questions. So I will be reading her profile right now, and afterwards she will take up the floor. So our guest profile. We have Barrister Bumi Jasmine Omeka. She is the managing and also executive partner of JGC Partners. And she is a multifaceted lawyer, a certified HR professional and educator. She holds a master's degree in international commercial law from the University of Aberdeen with a commendation in 2013. A people-oriented with a humanitarian heart, she oversees the legal aid affairs of the Occupational Health, Safety and Empowerment Center, an NGO owned by her late father. Bumi co-founded Get Work Nigeria in 2019, an initiative based on improving the quality of the entry-level workforce through employability training, mentoring, and talent hunting. Get Work Nigeria has connected over 300 job applicants to the right employers in the last 4 years. She is a devoted wife and a mother of three. She currently leads the strategic direction of her Lekki-based law firm, JGC Partners, where she works as a managing partner, legal compliance, and HR. She also sits on the advisory and also executive board of some reputable organizations in the educational, IT, and HSC industry. Please join me to make welcome Barrister Bumi. So you have the floor. Go ahead now and talk to
Thank
us.
you very much. And welcome to our session on intentional girl and knowing your legal rights. You might have to show this. So, yeah, sorry for that. So, yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you very much, Miss Uduma Ikoro, for this opportunity to speak with young girls. Is always my delight. I have a stint for youth development. I always believe that I always believe that it is better to start young. You know, the earlier you start getting knowledge on the things you are supposed to use as an adult while growing up, the better the journey is for you. So I always believe in starting them young. And thanks so much for this initiative. Not to waste our time, I'll quickly go on to the topic of today. A lot of introduction has been done about me, so I don't need to repeat myself. But in summary, I'm a multifaceted lawyer. I'm a mother of three beautiful children. More recently, twins, a boy and a girl, and they are just 5 months old. And yeah, I have over 12 years experience in different diverse industries: legal, HR, empowerment, advocacy, name it. And I'm very passionate about impacting all the good things I know and mentoring a generation of great minds. I believe that you are all great minds in here. Looking forward to hearing from me, looking forward to acquiring more knowledge. I'm also looking forward to learning from you as well, because learning is a lifelong thing. It's not something that ends at any point. Till your grave, we're all learning. So I would also love to hear from you, to learn from you as we proceed with this conversation. I don't want to call it lecture, a conversation, because I would really love you to participate in this conversation. It's very important, so that what we speak stays with you. You know, it doesn't go as soon as the lecture ends. And so today again, we'll be talking about the intentional girl and her basic legal rights. As an overview, so you know exactly what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about, what's the objective of this discussion? Why is it important that we're having this conversation? Who is a child? There are different definitions to who a child is. People have different perspectives based on their culture and practices. But what does the law say a child is? You know, so we are working based on the law. And you know what the law does? The law is to create a standard where everybody is meant to live in peace and order and in harmony. That's what the law does. So anybody can think, anybody can have an opinion, but the most important thing, what makes it a standard, what regulates everybody's behavior and makes them to behave themselves, is the law, because the law creates that standard of what is right and what is wrong. So the law will tell us who a child is and what laws protect the child. Also, we'll be looking at why is it important that the child is protected. We'll also be looking at the different rights that you have, you know, different rights and responsibility that you have as a child. We'll be looking at protection rights, survival rights, participation rights, and the likes. At the end of this session, we'll have a case study where I will read a story out to you, and you'll be able to pick out issues from this story as it affects as it applies to what you have learned. So we'll be looking at those issues. We're bringing out those issues to the fore and we'll be discussing them. It's a very practical case study. a real life story and something that I'm sure you can relate with as a girl child. And at the end, we'll be wrapping up with question and answers, questions from you. And if I feel I'm not getting enough questions from you, be prepared to answer my own questions. So if you don't want to answer questions, be prepared to ask questions. So you have to do either of both. So next, we'll be talking about who is a child. Before we continue, I would like to state that the reason, our objective, what's the reason for this discussion, is for you to know your rights. It's important that you know your rights as a child, as a girl child, as an intentional girl that is going into the society with taking responsibility and being responsible for others, and others are also responsible for you because you're still a child. You still take the instruction of authorities and instruction of your parents. You need to know your right, because where your right stops is where another person's right starts. What it means is that if you don't know your rights, there's a possibility that you infringe on the rights of others. Knowing your rights is a standard thing because as human, we all have rights. So when you know that this is your right and the same applies to the next person, it's a uniform application, then you do not infringe, you do not violate other people's rights, you do not become a nuisance to the society. So it is important that you know your rights. It's important that you understand it. What is the reason behind these rights that you have been given to as a child? Then it is also important that you act responsibly. So that is the objective of our lecture today. And these are the things that we're not trying to achieve. We are not trying to achieve you disobeying your parents. So knowing your right does not mean, oh, if mommy tells you something or dad tells you something and you say, you know what, I have a right, I'm a child, and this is what I was taught in this session. So because it is my right, I will not obey you on this instruction. That is not what this session is all about. This section is going to tell you about your rights and how your parents can guide you, how your guardians or whoever has been put in a position of being a parent or an authority to you can guide you to exercise these rights appropriately. So this thing we are saying here is not to make you rude or disrespectful or to act carelessly. In some spaces, when people begin to talk about their rights, we feel it's all about fighting. I'm fighting for my right. No, we are humans and we are endowed with our natural rights. You don't need to fight for it if it's not being infringed upon, if it's not being violated. You have it and you live with it and you respect the rights of others. So you don't have to start fighting. So when you mention rights, it should not be synonymous to fighting. So I need to remind us, I need to, let us know that just before we continue. So who is a child? Who is a child? A lot of times when we hear child, we always look at a toddler. When you are referred to as a child, you have the feeling that he's just 4 years old, 6 years old, is a child, But I'm here to tell you that if you are lesser than 18 years, that's 17, 16, 15, counting down, you are a child. So it doesn't matter as a girl that you start seeing your period. It doesn't matter as a girl that you have big breasts like I do. I believe we're all girls here, so I can say these things. It doesn't matter that you have big bum or you have hips or you are beautiful, you can make up. It doesn't matter. As long as you are not up to 18 years old, you are a child. The law says you are a child. What they will refer to in Pidgin English as pikin. Now pikin you be. You understand? So that is what, and because you are a child, there are some things that the law protects you from. You are not allowed to be exposed to those things because you are a child, because you are lesser than 18 years. So when you are 18, you can be an adult, you can take those decisions yourself, you can be exposed to those kind of things. The law believes that you are matured in mind, mentally, you are matured socially, you are matured physically enough to withstand those things and take responsibility as an adult. But as long as you're a child, you are in a position of guidance. You're a child, and that is what the law says. So I am saying this over and over again so that it registers in your memory And I believe that most of the people I'm speaking with, as a majority of my audience here today, are children, because you are lesser than 18 years old, and the law says so, right? So let's move on to what laws protect the child. Now you are a child. Why is it important, and what laws protect you as a child? Is it different from what we have as adults? Is it so different? Why is it that, I mean, what are those laws that makes me, as in, what is so special? What are those special laws that protect me as a child apart from an adult? So that's the question we're answering in this on this slide. First of all, we have the Constitution of the land. The Constitution of the land applies to everybody. It's the ground norm. That's what we call it. When you say ground norm is something from which other things are derived, from which the validity of other laws are derived. First of all, in the first section of the Constitution, it says that the Constitution is the overall, is the main law of all the laws of the land in Nigeria. And any law that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution is null and void. That is, it cannot operate. So if there is any law that is made today by the governor, by the National Assembly, or by the House of Assembly of your state, or any policy or anything that is made by the governor, or any pronouncement, what lawyers or what concerned citizens will be to go back to the Constitution and check if it is in line with the provisions of the Constitution. If it is not in line with the provision of the Constitution, it cannot stand in a democratic society. I don't want to take us too far, but it's also important that you know these things, so that when you are involved in conversation as a child, as an outstanding girl child, you know where your rights are coming from. You know what the Constitution is all about. You can say it with authority and with so much knowledge, as a girl child, So the Constitution is the ground norm. It has our fundamental human rights. There's a particular chapter 4 of the Constitution. The Constitution we have now is a 1999. It's called the 1999 Constitution, and it has been reviewed. I mean, a little amendment here and there from there. But that particular chapter, it talks about the fundamental human rights that you have as a human being, whether a child or an adult. You have those basic rights, and there are so many. However, because you are a child that is under some form of guidance, there are some rights that it is the adult that helps you to actualize it. It is the adult that guides you to exercise those rights, because you are under your parents. For example, I'll give an example quickly so that you understand what I'm talking about, but we are getting to that. For example, we have freedom of association. The Constitution says that as an adult, you have a right to your freedom of association and all that. But that doesn't mean that as a child, your parents cannot control your association. They can guide your association positively and help you make the right decisions, as long as you are below 18. Remember the definition of a child. You are below the age of 18, so your parents have the right to guide you on what to do and what not to do, what to associate with. So that is where the extent to which the Constitution applies to you as a child. Now, because the law recognizes it, it says there should now be a Child Right Act, a child right law, a law that is specially designed for a child, because you are special. You are not just a random adult. You are a special child. I mean, you are special. You fall into this special species of human beings, because a lot is with a child. As much as the child needs to exercise his or her right, the child also needs to be guided. And while being guided, you also need to be guided by a responsible adult, an adult that will not violate them, an adult that will not lead the child astray. So it is important that the child's right is created to take care of the child specifically. So that is why we have it under specific laws. So the child's rights are specifically state the rights that you have as a child, and that is what we'll be considering today. The rights that you have as a child and how you can exercise it in line with the guidance of a responsible adult. Always remember, a responsible adult. You should be under the guidance of a responsible adult, an adult that is law abiding, not an adult that is violating the law and violating you. So it is important that you understand your rights, so that when you see an irresponsible adult outside your parents, I believe that by default, your parents are responsible adults by default, except there are some exceptions, and the law always have a way of identifying that and visiting that. But your responsible adults, like your parents, your guardians, your teachers, your authorities in school, in church, there's a need to, exercise your rights with their guidance, right? So let's move to the protection. Why are children protected? Why is all this noise about child protection, child rights? We already have human rights. Why is it that children require extra protection? Can't you just be born and just be doing your thing? Must you be guided? Let's play the devil advocate. Why must they be telling you, do this, don't do this, don't do it? It can be tiring sometimes, isn't it? Why is it like that? Why is the law so concerned about us and not even allowing us to act freely? Don't you have a right to freedom? Now, we're going to consider why you need to be protected. You are the future of a great nation. I am not even trying to patronize you. I'm just telling you the truth. All the adults you see today that are governing our Nigeria, are governing our states, are governing our local government, they were once children. They are adults. They are the kind of adults they had today because of the kind of children they were yesterday. So the child is children are made, they are a very important segment of the society because they are the future of our nation. If we don't take care of our children now, we won't have a better future. And remember, we are not just living for now, we are living for posterity, what they call future, good future. We are looking forward to a better nation. We want to get better and we don't want to deteriorate. So we need to make the future leaders of tomorrow even better than us. So there's a need to protect them. There's a need to preserve this important and wonderful species. Yeah? So again, another second reason is you cannot make decisions for yourself. You can't. You know why you can't? Because you're a child. Because you're just a blank tabula rasa, and it is what is put into you that you would think of, that you work on, and you used to become a better person. So you cannot possibly, you're not matured. Your mind is not matured enough to take some kind of decisions yourself. Yeah, of course, there are some basic decisions that you can make yourself. Decision to walk, decision to sit, decision to eat, those are basic. But I'm talking about life decisions, career decisions. You need to be guided. So because you cannot take those decisions, you cannot consent. We'll get there. You can't consent to having sexual relations yourself. It is criminal for an adult to have sex with a child, even if the child says yes. The law does not recognize that as consent. The law does not recognize that as consent because the law says a child cannot make consent to sex by themselves, cannot say, I want to sleep with you by themselves. They can't make that decision. It is beyond them because they are children. So because you cannot make decisions yourself, you need protection. You need protection. You are human. You deserve life. You deserve love. You deserve nurture. You deserve dignity. You deserve respect. You deserve protection. Because you are a human being right from the day you're born. Even in the womb, you are human. That's why you see pregnant women, they go for antenatal, just to check and make sure that babies are in the right place, because those babies deserve life. They're still in the womb, but they deserve life. So you deserve life, you deserve nurture, you deserve love, you deserve dignity. Nobody should look down on you. Nobody should discriminate against you because you are from a particular tribe or you are from a particular country. You deserve respect. You deserve protection, even as a child. And it's also to avoid violation of the law. If you know your rights, definitely you know that your rights is not only about your rights, it's about the rights of other children. So other children's rights should also not be violated. If you know the law, if you are well protected, other people will not be violated and you will not become a nuisance to the society. So my next question is, are you a responsible child? Are you a responsible child? You need to ask yourself that. Are you a responsible girl? Are you a responsible girl? I'm speaking to girls today. So are you a responsible girl child? Being an intentional girl child or being an intentional girl includes being a responsible human. Who is a responsible person? Someone who takes responsibility for their actions. Someone who thinks about their actions, thinks through their actions before acting, and make informative decisions, make decisions that are based on good and adequate information, and takes responsibility for the consequences of their decision, either good or bad. So part of this boot camp, I believe, is, the main theme to this boot camp is building the intentional girl. And that is why we've included this kind of very important topic on understanding your responsibility in the society as a girl child, and understanding that you need to be a responsible girl child. Are you a responsible child, and how do you show you are responsible? Quickly, by respecting and obeying your parents and authorities. This is the basic. When you obey parents, your parents, the people that God, I have to use that because I'm a religious person and I believe, I'm not sure we have any atheists among us. I believe that God, irrespective of whatever religion we belong to, God guides. We believe in God. So we need to also chip that in. So your parents, God has put them there to guide you, to raise you, to nurture you. Everything being equal, I know that sometimes, some ways, in some situations, people have bad parents. It's very sad, it's very unfortunate, and we don't hope to have those kind of parents. But by default, your parents have been put by God there to nurture you, to raise you, and to become a responsible child. And you have authorities in schools, authorities in church. I know sometimes the religious organizations too have been polluted by terrible elders, irresponsible elders. Those are also exceptions and issues, the exceptional cases. But you are meant to respect these people that God has placed in authority over you. That is your basic responsibility as a child, because when you respect them, when you listen to them, there is a least possibility of going astray and doing the wrong things. When you see children that don't obey their parents, that do the wrong things, they end up in juvenile courts. They end up in, in detention, child detention. They end up as wayward adults. So the first responsibility as a child is obeying your parents and authorities, contributing to community development. Without, you know that as a child you have different programs in school where they encourage you to contribute towards your immediate community. Could even be on your street, keeping your streets clean is part of community development. Not throwing debris on the floor and not living carelessly is part of being responsible to your community and the environment around you. When you have like programs in school where you have to go out and go to orphanage homes, give orphanage fatherless and motherless children gifts, those are all part of community development. Or when you have to clean your streets or clean your school, clean your environment, those are all parts of community development as a child. As you grow up as an adult, there are different levels of community development that you will be exposed to, that you should participate in, and it makes you a responsible human, a responsible child to a responsible adult. Then also another basic responsibility you have as a child is to respect ideals of democracy, freedom, equality, humanness, honesty, justice for everyone around you. Be seen as fair. Let me make it very easy for you. Be a kind child. Don't be a child that talks carelessly. Don't be a child that opens her mouth and when she says anything, it hurts the next child or hurts an adult. Be a sensitive child, a child who understands the emotions of others and, is considerate, a considerate child. Just kindness. Let's use the word kindness. If you understand kindness, then you understand these basic ideals that we're talking about. If you understand kindness, you understand justice. If you understand kindness, you understand honesty. If you understand kindness, you understand humanness. If you understand kindness, you understand equality. You understand that all children are equal before God. There's nothing like this person is black, this person is white, this person is, so therefore you need to treat the child or bully that particular child. No, every child is equal before God and is equal before the law and is meant to be treated equally. So these are the responsibilities that you have as a child. If you look at that picture that is on your screen, you will see a child listening to the father, the sharing Bible, and you see another child, the parents both parents have to be talking to the child at the same time. You see how stubborn that child is? He's saying nope, nope, nope. That's the characteristic of an irresponsible child. So just know, anytime you disobey authority or you disobey your parents, you are being irresponsible. Even you might not like that word, but you are being irresponsible. So are you a responsible child? I'll leave you to answer that question yourself. So let's move on to the rights that you have quickly. What are the rights we have? We'll be talking about this right. I'm sure all of you are here. I want to know my rights today. Who is depriving me of my right? I'm going for that person after this session. Yes. So let's talk about your rights. Right to life. You have the right to life. You see that baby crying? That baby was just born. That baby was born to life. And that baby's life must be preserved. Nobody must do anything that will harm that baby. If you do anything that will harm that baby, you have the law that will come after you. You must face the consequences of taking a life. So you have the right to life. So the same way you have that right to life, you cannot be a threat to another person's life. You know, what the thing we're talking about, responsibility. Every right comes with a responsibility. You cannot go fighting in your school or wherever you find yourself and you're using dangerous subjects. You shouldn't even be fighting, because fighting is a threat to somebody else's life. People die in the course of fighting. So you don't want to be in the middle of that. You don't want to be a child that is involved in public or private fights to the extent where you are now you now fall victim, or if I should use that word, because as a child, you're a child. You shouldn't really be called a criminal or a suspect. You now become in quotes, a murderer. You know, you don't want to be that. So you have a right to life and you must respect other people's own. You have a right to a decent family life. A decent family life, in the sense that you have the right to be raised in a decent family, a mother, a father. Of course, life happens. Some get to lose, like me. I'm fatherless. I've been fatherless for 6 years now. Some get to be, they lose their parents and stuff like that. But when one of the parents are alive, they're able to raise that child still and fulfill both roles. For some children, when they become orphans, that's why you see they have to be in an orphanage home so that they have, at least a minimal, feeling of being in a family setting. So family is very important in every child's life, and every child has the right to that kind of life. You have a right to special care for special needs children. There are some children, I would have stopped to ask if you understand what special needs, if someone can tell me what they understand by special needs children, because it's very important that you understand that. Is it possible for a participant to speak or write?
Yes, it's possible. They can actually
Okay.
write. So you can ask them, they're listening.
Okay.
Okay.
Please, can you write in three, I mean, just few lines what you think a special needs child is? Who is a special needs child? Mm-hmm. Special needs child. Yeah, special needs. Who is a child with special needs? Mm, I'm running out of time.
I've put up some. Someone said, you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, I can see. It says yes, like some people are autistic. Okay, yes. Autism is part of special needs children. Okay, special needs children are children that are, they have, like the name signifies, they need a more special attention. They are kind of they are mentally, they are challenged in some areas. We don't like to use the word disabled because being challenged doesn't mean that you can't do some certain things or you can't do what other people are doing. It depends on the kind of therapy or the kind of treatment that the child is exposed to. So I'm of the school of thought, I'm in that school of thought that do not like to use the word disabled, although the word disabled is used in some areas, in some spaces, but I don't use it. So a special needs child is a child that needs a special kind of attention. Could be a child suffering from cerebral palsy, they can't walk well, or a child that has that has some form of disorder, you know, a kind of mental disorder. We have autism in that spectrum. We have ADHD. We have different. Well, what's happened?
I need your phone number, Elsa. Need your phone number. Não vê tcheca. Então. Hello, let's just be a little bit patient. Okay, our speaker is having a little challenge. Okay, she's back.
Can you see me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Welcome
Okay.
back.
Thank you very much. Perfect. So I'm running out of time, but I will try to be fast. Can you can see me, right?
Sure, we can see you and we can also hear you. So
Okay, good. All right. So like I was saying, I was talking about special needs children. You know, special needs children are children that they have some form of, you know, they need to be handheld. I mean, they need to be helped. You know, they can't do certain things on their own without some form of extra treatment and extra aid.
you know. And we have children who are mentally challenged, children who are physically challenged, and all that. Like I said, I don't like to use that word disabled, because even with the challenge, they can still do some things like the normal child. So there's a right created for them. You cannot discriminate against them because they are special needs, and you also need to allow them to integrate freely into the society around you. I know Nigeria, we are still behind in, integrating these children, but as an intentional girl now, these are the kind of knowledge that you need to have that differentiates you from every other child. Yeah. So you know that when you see special needs children, even children with autism, you are not meant to be looking at them in some kind of way or make them feel uncomfortable. You are meant to be accommodative of them. You are meant to respect the fact that they also have the same right that you have. And you are meant to also understand that it is not because you are better. It is not because you are better than them. That is the reason why you are the way you are. It's just life. It's just life happening to them. Like, it doesn't make you, the fact that you have a special new child around you should not make you arrogant or treat them with disdain and disrespect. You should be empathy. You should have empathy towards them. In fact, you should make friends with them more and make them to integrate into the society that you are privileged to live in. It is just God that has just made it that way. God has created people in different ways and different manners. So you should respect that. And you should not discriminate against these children. That is what that right is all about. Then we have right to medical care and health services. If you notice, in most of our corners in Nigeria, we have primary health care, and that is the way it is in other developed countries as well, that are very, 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 very big on the health care of children. They make it as free or as cheap as possible, because as a child, your health is still fragile. You're still considered fragile within that fragile phase. So you're meant to be well cared for. And again, there's a saying that says that the kind of medical and health, your health as a child within, I think, the first 7 years of existence, we say a lot. I mean, we affect your health as an adult later on in later years. So the way your kidney, your liver, your everything is being, managed and cared for, we affect those organs as you grow up in life. So there's a need there's a need for you to have access to, those good medical care and good health. So the government's responsibility as well as your parents' responsibility, and they are not meant to, joke with that. Okay, so we move on to, we've looked at survival rights. If you look at the rights we looked at, it all talks about survival. It talks about your life, things that affect your survival, your ability to live this life and not die prematurely. So these are survival rights. Now let's go to development rights. Development rights are those rights that makes you a better person. Now you are a child. You are moving from one stage to the other, from being a child to a toddler, from being a baby to a toddler, from being a toddler to a preteen, being a preteen to a teenager, being a teenager to an adult. As you move on, what are those rights that you have that will aid you in your development? You have a right to education. This is very basic. If you see, I put UBE in the middle, and it's talking about universal basic education. Every child has a right to that primary school education. Different government, different countries have their policy built around this. In Nigeria, you find out that most states have free education at the primary level for children, and it is based on these rights. Those policies are developed based on these rights that you have. They have right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. These are the rights you have as a human being. As a child, you are guided to exercise these rights freely. Most of the time, if your parents are Muslims, of course, you become a Muslim as a child. If your parents are Christian, you become Christians as a child, except you now begin to find your own, you begin to find your own conviction on the side. You begin to find your own conviction, and, you adopt your own religion. You have the right to play. Playing is something that is inculcated in most curriculums in school. You see that you have break time, you take long break, you take short break in school because you have the right to play. But remember, you play at the right time. Not you telling your mom that, "Mom, today, we're taught in our intentional girl boot camp that we have the right to play. So let me play. Mom knows when you should play and when you shouldn't. So you have the right to play, at least as a socialize. It is part and parcel of your mental and physical and social development. Right to child-friendly administration of justice. Now, this talks about, when a child violates the law, either mistakenly or deliberately or whatever it is, there is a way justice is being administered. It's different from that of an adult. For example, you are not brought to court, you are not called a convict, you are not called a suspect because you are still a child. Your brain is still young and still immature to understand these things, So, and you are not put in the same detention an adult is placed in. We don't pray that any of you gets to that point in Jesus' name. But we are just saying, just for you to have that knowledge, in case you have any child around you, it's just for you to have that knowledge that, as a child, the child has the right to a friendly administration of justice. There are certain rules that must be followed. Even if a child violates the law, it's not treated like the way an adult is treated. So we'll go quickly to protection rights. Yes, this is where most of your rights as a child is imbibed. You are protected. You are a protected species, like I said. Always know that I'm a child. I have maximum protection than that of an adult. So because you have maximum protection than that of an adult, these are, those things under protection rights. One, you are free from all forms of exploitation. In fact, this is the umbrella for freedom from sexual abuse, drug abuse, all forms of abuse. Abuse, like detaining you. We've seen cases where children are detained in cages, dogs' cages, cages of animals, just because they want to be punished. That's an abuse. That's going too far to punish you for an offense. Someone beating you to the point where you have marks on your body is abuse. Take it from me. Even if your parents are doing that, I'm sorry. Any parents doing that, that's an abuse. Beating you to the point where they have to be stitching your body, or you have to go to the hospital, or you faint, that is abuse. And you have the rights. You have rights to be protected from such abuse. In a sane society where the government, and these are what NGOs and organizations like what we have here are doing, in such kind of society, children are taken away from such abusers. Either abusers as parents, abusers as pastors, or as guardians, or as, children are taken away from such abusers and kept in a home or adopted in a home where there's love, there's care, and there's nurture, and and they're free from such kind of abuse. So you are not meant to be under any form of abuse, either abuse with drugs, abuse with beating, abuse with sex. And as a child, you are not meant to indulge in sex. Yes, and any adult who indulges in sex, in sleeping with you, having sex with you, is abusing you because you are not 18 yet. You cannot do that. It is not an activity that a child should engage in. Any adult that engages in sex with you is raping you. It's called rape at law. You don't need to say yes or no. Even if you say yes, if that adult sleeps with you or has sex with you, that adult will go to jail. That's what the law says. A lot of people don't know that. They'll say, but the child was seducing me because she has big breasts and big bum bum. There's nothing like that. If you have all the bum bum and all the breasts in the world, you are not 18 yet. If you sleep with anybody and they catch that adult with you, that adult will go to jail. That adult will go to jail. That's what the law says. It's as simple as ABC. So you have the right to protection of privacy. Nobody is meant to carry your naked body, maybe by mistake. I don't know, some of you have access to phones that are not well controlled. You now take like the case that happened with a child in one of the schools in Nigeria. I don't want to name the name of the school. They went on excursion, and for some reasons, and naked nudity was on the internet. Nobody is allowed to do that. In fact, they arrested the person who put out that picture. You are not meant to put your naked picture out there. Nobody is meant to do that. Even if it gets onto their phone, they are meant to delete it. Nobody is meant to transfer such kind of. If you are using a phone, you are not meant to be transferring people's nudity, either as a girl or whatever. You are not meant to transfer people's nudity on your phone. When you see such, you are meant to delete it, because everybody has a right to their privacy. You cannot share people's nudity without their consent. As a child, you cannot consent to your own nudity. You can't. You don't have the ability to. So even if you tell an adult, please transfer my naked picture, if the adult does, the adult will go to jail. The adult does not have the right to do that. Right to protection from all forms of discrimination. We talked about this too. Discrimination means to not treat somebody, another child, as human or equally. That's discrimination. You are meant to. Everybody is meant to be treated equally. The same law that applies to you applies to the next child and the next child and the next child. No one should be discriminated against because they are from a particular tribe or they are from a particular country. As long as they have the right to live in a certain space, they have access to a certain activity together, they are meant to be treated the same way. Right to be protected from stigmatization when in conflict with the law. Now, there are sometimes, like I mentioned before, a child might violate the law. It might be by mistake. The child is not meant to be stigmatized. And that is why you see that you will see some responsible journalists, people that practice responsible journalism. When a child even commits a crime or does something that is wrong, they don't reveal the face of the child in newspapers or even on social media. It is wrong. The child's face is meant to be covered because the child must be free from stigmatization. He's still a child. Even if he has done something bad, yeah, he's going to face the consequences. There's consequences for everything, but it's not same rate of consequences as an adult. The child should be corrected, should be made to face corrective measures and not be stigmatized. Stigmatization means to label a child as a demon, like the child has been demonized and can never be anything good in life again. A child should not be exposed to that. A child should be protected from that kind of stigmatization. So we have participation rights, which is the last kind of right to be looking at before we go into our case study. I don't know if there'll be enough time. I'm just trying to work as quickly as possible and at the same time be able to drive home the message. It is after this session that I would invite you for questions. Okay, so I see someone saying, what if a child lower than 18 has sexual intercourse with another child of the same age? So now those two children, they will be placed under what they call therapy or some form of correction because a child has abused a child. That is what happens. The child that has abused a child or the two children that have been involved in sexual intercourse, they are both victims. They are both victims of probably lack of knowledge, for ignorance, lack of good parental guidance and stuff like that. So they would need to be placed under some form of therapy. It's good I answer that question immediately because of our time. I may not have the time to answer questions later on. So let's move on to participation rights. Right to participate in taking decisions that affect you. You have the right to participate. Yes, you are not the final decision taker because you are still a child. An adult needs to say yes or no and listen to you. So you have the right to be listened to. That's what it means. You have a right to, have someone listen to your opinion. You have the right to share your opinion. You shouldn't be shut down. If you are in an environment where you are completely shut down, like you cannot hear your opinion, trust me, it's going to affect other aspects of your life. You are not going to grow up to be a balanced child because your opinion is consistently being shut and your rights is consistently being deprived of. So it is not a place to be as a child. You have the right to be involved in decisions that affect your life as a child. For example, your parents want to choose a school, you can be heard. But if they feel, oh, the school you are thinking about is not what they want for you, they can explain it to you. You guys can reach a compromise. That is what it means to be a child. Because they are going to be the ones to pay for the school anyway. You are not bringing in the income. So they have to take the final decision. But you can be involved in the decision making, and you do so respectfully. Remember what we said initially when we were talking about responsibilities. You do that with respect for your parents, trusting them that they will take the best decision as it affects their economic status, the best decision for you. Right to freedom of expression. You have the right to express yourself. It's also related to what we just talked about. But remember, your right to expression has its limitations. Right to expression does not mean that you have the right to speak foul languages and say terrible things that will affect the next person psychologically or mentally. Right to freedom of expression within legal confines does not mean you have the right to open your mouth and tell somebody, I will kill you. That's a threat to life. You don't want to be that. Does not mean you open your mouth and say the wrong things. Right to freedom of expression means you have the freedom to express the right things and in the right way. Right? Right to freedom of association. That's again under some form of guidance with your parents. You have the right to associate freely with your peers, but under the guidance and control of your parents. You cannot be part of a bad gang or children that they are left alone, they are not well trained, and your parents are saying, for this reason I don't want you to associate with this child, and you say, no, I want to. No, that is not where your right is, what your right is all about. So your right is all about you being able to be part of responsible associations. You go to school, you join clubs, good clubs that will enhance your development as a child. You have your press club, you have your debating club, you have your literacy club, you have different JET club, you have science, STEM club, and all those technology club, coding. Those are the kind of associations that had value to you as a child, and your parents should encourage you to participate in. You have the right to be part of those kind of association. So we've concluded on our rights. I would check my screen again to see what we have. Yeah, so there's a case study here, and this is where we have our discussion. So it talks about Etima. Etima is 12 years old. She lives with her parents and 2 younger siblings. Her dad is mostly out of town to work, and this makes her mom really busy and unable to give her all the attention she thinks she deserves. Etima prefers to be out with her friends and always challenge her mom for not letting her go out to play with them at weekends. Her mom tells her that she needs to monitor who she associates with, as there's a lot of danger out there. One day, Etima's uncle comes visiting, and Etima is happy. She has someone to play and speak with. Etima caught her uncle smoking cigar in his room one day, and he asked her to try some. He also tells her to buy some cigar from a Matisse shop for him. Etima feels she needs to obey him, and she wants to remain his friend. Etima's uncle also tells her to always obey anything he says, as he is a big uncle and can never be wrong. Etima is confused. Based on all the rights and the responsibility that you have learned today, how do we advise Etima? Can somebody advise Etima for us? Look at all the issues that we've spoken about. Advise Etima, please. Etima is your friend, though. Advise her.
Girls, let's participate, okay? Go ahead and respond. Read through quickly and respond, okay? Because right after this, we're going to be taking your questions. Remember that we are running into the next session right after now. So go ahead and respond. Remember, this is what shows that you've learned something. This is what shows that you understand your rights and the rights of other girls. And these words also show that you are an intentional girl. So go ahead, read through and attempt what we have before us. Please go ahead. Remember, you are able. You can do it.
Advise Etima. Etima is your friend. She doesn't know what to do. She's confronted with all these situations. Please advise her. Don't smoke because it's wrong. Yeah? Don't smoke because it's wrong. Okay, so I'll take you up on this. Etima is 12 years old. This is the best way to answer that question. Etima is 12 years old. She's less than 18. Right? She is a child by the law, based on what we've learned. I want us to be applying these things one after the other, based on what we have learned. I'm teaching you now how to answer case study questions. It's a skill. I'm teaching you to learn early. You'll be grateful
Okay,
when you
we
become an
have
adult.
more.
Yeah.
Barrister Bumi, we have
Yes.
more reactions. So
Yes,
let me put them
I'm
up.
seeing the reactions. I want to take them one after the other.
Okay,
So
fine.
we have
Thank you.
Etima has the right to speak up and do the right thing. She should tell her mom and ask what she should do. Perfect. Okay, can I see the previous one? So I can handle everything at the same time because of time. Don't smoke because it's wrong. Yes. Yeah, don't smoke because it's wrong. The next one, report to your parents and keep distance from him. Perfect. Etima should tell someone about her uncle. Good. Tell someone. Okay. I would advise Etima to speak to her mother about this situation. If her mother is responsible enough, she would know that what her uncle is doing is wrong. She would send him out of the house. Good. That's good. Good attempt. Very good attempt. Yes. Do we have another attempt?
That's
Okay.
all for now.
Okay, that's all for now. So I will take all our attempts and I will weave everything together. Everything we have said, everything everyone has said is good answer, and I'll weave everything together for you. So why do you think that smoking is wrong for Etima? Why do you think smoking is wrong? Let us state it here. Etima is less than 18 years old. Etima is a child. Etima, remember, when we're talking about freedom from drug, protection from the use of drug, cigar, tobacco is a drug. Etima should not be exposed to such. She's a child and cannot consent to taking drugs. Yeah, such as drug. Even if you see on the packet of, I don't want you to even see, you don't need to see it. On the packet of cigarette, it is written that any child less than 18 should not take that. Even as an adult, I'm an adult. I've never smoked before. My dad has never smoked. My mom has never smoked. Neither has my husband or anybody, any adult I know that I grew up with, because it is damaging to the system. More so, Etima is a child. She cannot take a decision with respect to smoking. Again, we talked about what our uncle is trying to get her to do, sending her to go get cigarettes from the shop. It is wrong to send a child to go procure a drug. Is a wrong thing because the child is not meant to be exposed to cigarettes at all at that age, And Etima saying that anything that he says to Etima's uncle saying anything he says to Etima, she must obey because a big uncle can never go wrong. Is wrong, yo. Your big uncle can go wrong. In fact, let me tell you that the one that goes wrong the most in this age and time that we are, we have to be very sincere with ourselves. It's not me trying to pitch you against your uncles or me trying to pitch you against your relatives. We have responsible relatives. But the most important people in your life as a child right now are your parents. You know why? Because they are the ones that instill the primary values, the kind of values that they want you to have. They are the ones that you are responsible to, except the law says otherwise. So if your uncle that was not trained by your parents or did not grow up with you or for some reason just came from somewhere and is trying to lure you to be doing things that are immoral, even though you're a child, you know the difference between good and bad, and you see him consistently pushing you towards doing something bad and he's saying you must obey him. No, Even the Bible says, obey your parents in the Lord. Your parents who are doing the right things are in the Lord, are doing the responsible things. More so your uncle. If your uncle is doing something that is wrong, it is not you. Being a responsible child does not mean you should obey him. You should, in fact, report him to your mom the way somebody has contributed. You should report the uncle immediately to the mom. And if the mom is responsible, the mom should be able to call the uncle to order. And if the mom is not doing anything, get out there. Report to your teachers in school. Report to your pastor or somebody in church. Report to another authority that can talk to your mother, because you are in danger. That uncle is not a good uncle. It's not an uncle that you should expose yourself to. You should be protected from that kind of uncle. Somebody also said there might be a situation where Etima's mother might not be able to listen to her. She can talk to authorities higher than her. Maybe a teacher in school, yes. But don't let your mommy fight you. Your teacher in school is not higher than your mommy. Your mom is, in fact, an authority when it comes to raising you. But in a situation where she's lacking, she's not responding, then your teacher might be a better voice. Your teacher can talk to her. Not that your teacher is higher than her in some sort of way, but your teacher can advise her and talk to her. Itima keeps telling us these things, though. Please look out for, and a responsible mother will react immediately. Would respond immediately and do the right thing, right? May God give us and keep our responsible parents for us in Jesus' name. That's what we pray for, because these things are very, very important. The kind of parents and your parental guidance are very important in protecting your rights as a child, as we can see today. So I think I've addressed every comment on this case study. So it's over to you. Do you have special questions? I heard the next speaker is waiting. I'm so sorry. We did not really start on time. I'm so sorry for taking your time. So if you have more questions, please go ahead. Let me see your questions. Let me be able to answer them. I believe you enjoyed or you've learned a lot from this session. Yeah. So let me see your questions.
Girls, ask your questions right now. Okay. The next speaker is waiting, so I need you to drop your questions. This is the time to ask Barrister Bumi all the questions. Remember, I said, make sure you take everything from her. Don't let her go without her answering all the questions that you have. Okay. Ask your question around your rights. Okay, around the law in terms of you relating with authority, the government, and around school, home, all right? So go ahead and ask your questions. The first 3 questions we'll have, we'll answer them and jump over to our finances. I can't wait. We are waiting. Please go ahead and drop your questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go to the last quote. You need to remember this. The soul is the seat of the mind. Listen very well so that you understand this. I need this quote to sink so that anywhere you're going as an intentional girl, you're screaming it in your behavior, in your actions, in the way you respond to things. The soul is the seat of the mind, the will and the emotion. The mind is a thinking seat of humans. The mind engages in thinking according to the information fed into it from the eyes and ears. So the information, what you look at. When you are pressing your phone, those things you look at on social media, look at on your mother's phone, grandma's phone, or whoever phone is available to you, they are information that you are feeding and is entering your mind and is entering your will and is entering your emotions. So it is fed into from the eyes and ears. Therefore, as a child, you cannot think deeper than the information available to you. So what information are you seeking for as a child? What information? What are you looking at this is internet age. A lot of you are exposed to the internet already. What are you looking at in the internet? So what information are you feeding your minds with? When you go out, who are you listening to? Which children are you engaging with? Who are you associating with? These are the things that exposes your mind, your will, and your emotion. They control your actions. They control the way you think. They control the way you feel. The things you allow into your mind. So you have to guide it. The Bible says, guide your hearts with all diligence because out of it flows the issues of life. And this quote is from a child advocate, Taiwo Akinlami. So always have this quote. Maybe you should put it somewhere around your study or somewhere in your bedroom. Go and copy it out and go and paste it there. So you always remember whatever information that is available to me affects the way I think, the way I act, and the way I feel. Right? So someone says in a situation where a child lower than the age of 18 consents to marrying an adult way older than her, and this adult accepts to do so, is this adult considered to be infringing on her right? Yes. Marrying a child is contravenes the Child Rights Act and the Child Rights Law in Lagos State. So that's why they said child bride is something that is still common in some culture and tradition in some rural areas in Nigeria. But if the law visits those people, they are disobeying the laws of the land. So nobody can do that. Nobody can force you, or nobody can make you consent as a child to marrying somebody that is older, even if the person is 18. So a 17-year-old cannot marry an 18-year-old adult. A 17-year-old cannot even marry a 16. No, I mean, two children cannot consent to get married. You're a child and you should have no business with marriage. Basically, that's what the law says. You have no business with marriage as a child. Go and read your books. Go and become a better adult, a responsible adult. You know, that is what the law says. So I love this question, and I believe this will be the last question for this show so that we can allow the last speaker come in. I've really taken a lot of our time. I want to use this opportunity to say thank you for the organizers of this event. Thank you especially to my sister, Miss Ikoro, for making this, fun, because I really enjoyed talking. It's something I enjoy doing. I really enjoy doing this, and more so with the girl child. It brings back memories of, my growing up as a girl child, and so much confidence that has been instilled in me as a girl child from tutors like this, from parents and guidance, and people have been fortunate to be groomed by. So I want to say thank you very much. And you guys, you don't know what you have. You don't know what you have. I mean, stay tuned and stay in. And stay in and keep enjoying this session. It's a great one. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you. That you have to keep the twins by the side, to speak to us and abandon everything just for us. We are super
Yeah.
grateful to you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Girls, can you go ahead and appreciate Barrister Bomi? Appreciate her there. Thank you. There, thank you. She has really done so noble for us. Even the slide, I'm going to also send to us. Okay, I will send the slides to us at the end of this program. So you know that we are so prepared for you. We are so prepared. Thank you so much. God bless you for
You're
giving us
welcome.
all this value. Yeah, Money said thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much too. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
Fire
You're
say
all
thank
welcome.
you.
All right. All right.
Oh, okay, she said thank
Yeah, I will
you.
just be somewhere. I'll be listening to the second speaker. I also want to learn. I still
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
child in me.
Thank you so much.
I'll be
And
listening to
see you
the
next
previous
time. We'll be
session.
calling you again.
I wish all the girls in Nigeria are here. I mean, they don't know what they are missing. I've been listening to the previous. They are wonderful. You should talk to your friends to come join at least the third session.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. God bless
Yeah,
you. Bye.
yeah.
So thank you so much, everyone. We are going to join in with the second link. So we're going off from the first link. So go back and join from the second link that I sent to you for today. And that will be the last session. We're not going to have third session today, just these 2 sessions, and we're done for today. Thank you so much, and God bless. I love you guys. See you soon.